We did initially confirm the advertisement, and now we do have a quorum, so I appreciate everyone being here. First order of business is the minutes of the February 17th meeting. You have those in your packet, and Chair will entertain a motion for discussion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Okay, a motion and a second. Discussion, questions on the previous meeting minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, minutes are approved. I'd like to recognize anyone who wishes to address the board before we continue with the agenda. Yes, ma'am.
My plan is to speak for the Tesla here.
You can do that at this time, yes. Or you can wait if you would like, whatever you want to do, because it's, the TEFRA is a public hearing, so we can do that if you'd like. Okay. Okay. Don't let me forget you, okay? Okay, the next item is item 5, the TEFRA hearing. We have a resolution authorizing, subject to certain conditions, the issuance of not to exceed $15 million of multifamily housing revenue bonds, and the bonds is a key word in that, in one or more series for the purpose of financing the acquisition, rehabilitation, and equipping of an approximately 162-unit multifamily housing facility located at or near 1201 Boynton Drive in Chattanooga, Hamilton County, Tennessee, for the Overlook Apartments project, and authorizing the execution and delivery of an agreement in connection with the issuance of such bonds. So what we're doing is a public hearing. We'll have a presentation, I assume, from someone's going to give us an update on what the plans for it are.
Yes, sir.
And then what we'll be doing is giving them preliminary approval of the inducement per my friend of the bond issue, correct? Okay. This allows them to apply for tax credits from the state. Who is going to speak for, to give us an overview of, quickly, of what the bond issuance is for, other than what I read?
Well,
Yeah,
I
can
guess,
do that.
can you start, Mr. Mahmood? That's good.
Hello everyone, my name is Zaid Mahmood. I work at House Development, which is the affordable housing arm of Naveen Real Estate. And as you guys mentioned, this is regarding Overlook Apartments, the 162-unit property located at 1201 Boynton Drive. This property contains 32 Section 8 units, and the remaining unit, all 162 units are existing like that. I think there's 5 buildings total, which comprises of 1 9-story elevator building and 4 2-story townhouses. The bond issuance, as you mentioned again, sir, is for the acquisition and the rehabilitation of this building. Some of you might already be aware of this building, but originally constructed in 1978, it was grossly mismanaged by the previous owner, and we actually stepped in as part of like a larger discussion with Federal HUD HQ to take over several properties by this owner Millennia, which included 6 properties in Tennessee, 4 of which we're already in the process of taking over, and then properties spread out over Oklahoma, Alabama, and all of them were in gross mismanagement. And we only stepped in around the end of last year, and we've been trying to stabilize the property in the short term, but what we're really trying to do is re-syndicate the property and put in a major rehab scope, and that would be done using 4% LIHTC, which requires the issuance of these bonds. The rehab budget is about $10 million for that LIHTC, and we have already put in $3.8 million of our own money just to stabilize the property in the short term. As part of the rehab, there will be no tenant displacement and no permanent tenant displacement, and all the relocation will be done with tenants in place. And we have an affiliated construction company that has tenant in place rehabs down to a science. Like for example, one day they'll do the floors, and when the tenants are out, and the next day we're going to go in and do the windows. And every single day, all the tenants will have a functional kitchen and bathroom. And ADA units, if there's any need to make structural changes, which we don't foresee on Overlook, we do give them a hospitality unit either on one of the vacant units or if we need to give them hotel rooms, which of course we'll pay for. You had mentioned the construction timeline. I'll just talk through that a little bit. So the bond inducement meeting today, we are planning to submit for the lighting application in 2 days, but really necessitated that we have this meeting before that, because as per Tennessee law, you need to get the inducement before you apply for the tax credits, as you all are probably aware. But we're assuming that we would be awarded the LIHTC sometime end of June, early July. I put that in this little project timeline and project summary I sent out, and we would aim to re-syndicate the whole property. We would close on the re-syndication by December, end of the year, and then it would be a 12-month rehab. So close on it 12/1/2025, and construction would complete 12/1/2026, and we should have it stabilized by March. And when I say stabilized in that context, that means stabilization in terms of legal conversion to term loan, and all that.
Okay.
Mr. Mahmood, one of the purposes, at least of this meeting, is because you got something coming up pretty quick. Can you tell the board what it is that you have to file shortly?
We have to submit the lighting applications in 2 days. That the deadline is 3/19. So on Wednesday, where we basically have everything complete, and we're putting in applications for 4 projects, and we already did the bond inducements for the other 3. I was in Kingsport for the first one on the 4th of March, and my colleague was in Knoxville for 2 of them on the 11th, I believe. And this would be the last one for the applications we're putting in this year.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So essentially, this is no new units, just a rehabilitation of the existing units there. And you said, of 162 units, how many are
Yes.
Section 8?
32.
32. Okay,
And all of them were syndicated with LIHTC previously, but I believe it was 2000. So they are out of their initial compliance period, and as I mentioned, the old owner wasn't really putting in any money into repairs, so they haven't seen like a real renovation scope in years.
yeah,
Over 10 years at the latest.
yeah, I'm familiar with the area. Okay.
Yeah.
Questions anybody has on this? Public comments?
Should I come closer?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, please.
That way you will pick up your voice.
I'm gonna sit at the head of the table.
All right? Be careful, I put you in charge.
And pick another tab as well.
Okay, my name is Janice Gooden, and I'm actually a member of Renaissance Presbyterian Church, which is at 1211 Boynton Drive, right next to the townhouses. So I'm familiar, with the development. Looks like you have a pretty ambitious plan, but from your presentation, you said you have 32 Section 8 units.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yeah.
that including the townhomes, or is that in the towers?
It's in the towers, and the 32, just to clarify, is project-based Section 8. There may be more Section 8, which would be housing choice vouchers, but project-based, which is the only item that we can underwrite to, is 32 units.
Okay. So one thing I had a concern about is in your process of renovations, you said that you have some vacant units that may be available if necessary, but will there be the possibility that residents will have to move out temporarily?
No, there would be no permanent displacement of tenants at all, and we usually try that there's not even a temporary displacement. And as I mentioned, our construction company has helped us down to a science where, like, we're doing the exact same thing on the other 3 Tennessee projects, but we just completed projects in 2 projects in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're in the middle of construction in 4 projects in Texas, and this is the same. All of them are done with our affiliated construction company, also owned by Naveen, and we do the exact process in all of our projects. Like, there should be no displacement at all. We only I mentioned hotels and hospitality units, that is only in the case if ADA units require structural changes, which we're still evaluating, but we don't foresee this to be the case at Overlook. And that's only in properties which were, built so long ago when they weren't properly accounted for the right length of the ramp and stuff for ADA. But typically, to your question, there is no displacement.
Okay. In your proposal, you mentioned security. Is that gonna be 24-hour security?
So yes, we will start with, probably an armed patrol 24 hours, and I assume this property has an issue of crime similar to the other properties that, we are looking at in Tennessee. And we have an affiliated security company, also Reliant, which technically is not owned by Nuveen, but they are the main competitor of Watchtower, and they are actually contracted out by other developers from us because of how efficient they are. But they will install cameras throughout the property, and obviously safety is the highest priority for our residents, followed by quality of housing and good management. But we will we will add in patrols if needed, but the objective will be to eliminate 24-hour patrols, and we also always involve the local police department, and because of the cameras, we have a pretty good system of being able to catch all the bad actors and start criminal proceedings. So sometimes it's an issue for affordable housing developers, especially at half contracts with hard Section 8 vouchers, because the eviction process is kind of tough, even if you have, bad actors. But the cameras have really helped us be efficient with this at our other properties. So we expect to be able to stabilize all security concerns pretty quickly once we install those cameras.
Okay, now you're not based in Tennessee, but you do have on-site management.
Yeah, so when this, as I mentioned, this was part of the larger discussion with HUD Federal HQ, where they wanted us to take over basically, there were 13 properties they wanted us to take over. But speaking just in Tennessee, we have already taken, our management company has taken over 4 properties already, but we have not stepped into the ownership structure in a legal sense. That would be, as is typical with these types of deals, that would be when we close on the construction. But yes, our property management has been managing it since, I want to say, middle of January. So it hasn't been that long, it's been 2 months.
Okay. And my last question is, how do you plan to communicate to the residents as far as the changes that are being made? Will that be in writing, or do you have a resident council group?
So we obviously we have our own, a whole management company, so we're very focused on communication with the residents. We would hold resident community meetings. We're just a little far in the process. Like the project wouldn't close on, the financing is, like the rehab wouldn't start until January 26th for now. So because of that, we're still like a little bit far, but we would start to hold regular community meetings. We would also send out written communication. And we're also planning to, upgrade some of the resident service coordinator system that's on hand, and like that's more of the management thing, so I can definitely get back to you on what upgrades they're planning to make there. But yes, we would provide services at that property as well. And those services are usually really good in communicating all the changes that are going to be happening at the property.
Okay, well, I think your timing is really good with the transformation of the west side, so.
Yeah. I have one additional question. So currently, you're in a management agreement and you go to an ownership, but that will be basically, as you said, when construction begins, so that would probably be roughly December of this year, is that correct?
Yes. Construction would begin January of next year, but we would close into the bonds and on the whole financing structure in December.
Okay.
And that is when we would take over the ownership.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Did you get total satisfied on all your questions? Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion, a proper motion, and a second.
No, we do not, sir.
So moved.
No, we do not have a motion.
We do not.
Oh, I thought we did. You're supposed to throw something at me, but keep me honest. Okay? Throw something at you next
Let me
time.
tell you too, that our public notice went out at least a week in advance of this meeting on here as well. And it's dependent, because it's a TEFRA hearing, on the approval of this governmental body, and y'all are the governmental body that it's dependent on. And the reason for the rush is because they gotta do stuff in 2 days.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Thank you.
So Chair would entertain a motion on this resolution.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second? Could've sworn we did that, but I'm gonna trust you. Okay, so now we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, the resolution passes. Couple of small things under other business. Who's gonna,
Just briefly on that end of it here, we sent documentation on to the folks with TDEC here in the State Division of Remediation. Wanted to make sure y'all had a copy in your file on this. And it's status of land use restrictions, which sometimes come into being whenever you're dealing with residential properties on there. So just be aware that these are out there. And we have said that none of our activities, since it's in the name of the Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board, have been restricted activities, and all of our environmental controls remain in place on the properties, which is vacant at this point on there. And just to be aware that whenever we start getting into brownfield situations where there are federal regulations on how people can live in areas, need to be aware of that when we're going forward on there. And we got these restrictions from the state, and we're living by them.
okay?
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
Phil, is this an annual notice that we need to submit?
They are sending that notice to us in this case, just telling us to provide that, and I believe there is a new requirement annually to provide information. And one of these properties actually had some stormwater enforcement notices on it on there, that's why I attached those when I sent them back to them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anything else? Any other business to come before the board this month? Okay, we have a meeting scheduled for April,
21st.
and do we have any agenda items on that one yet?
Not that I know of at the moment.
Okay, all right. Well, I want to thank everyone here for working with us on times and polls and stuff like that. And I want to thank you. I understand this is your last meeting? Is that not?
Is it?
No,
Okay,
no.
Yeah,
Am I getting mixed up with somebody?
no, that'll work for me.
Thank you very much for showing up.
No, that's why I wanted to say thank you for all your service. You always have good questions. And you question whether I appreciate your questions, and I tell you I do. So I truly appreciate your insight and your commitment to this. So I want to thank you for your service.
Okay.
And I appreciate you answering my text messages over the weekend here, when
I'm
you've got
still trying
spring
to get
break
over
going
it
on
right
too,
now.
so that's
Okay.
Spring break and I'm swamped at my office. Literally, I literally ran over here.
Okay,
I've been in court all morning.
thank you.
Thank you for showing up.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
You made the quorum.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you letting us, do it virtually. I was planning on being there, Hanneke probably mentioned, but I had flights booked and stuff. I was planning to visit the property after, which I will now do in a couple of weeks. But we really do appreciate you letting us put this together in short notice.
Thank you
So
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.